In this example, we'll be talking about the database. So right now we have Notepad++ up, and just to give you a visual a diagram what a database might look like. So in all the examples I've ever seen, there's always a picture of a huge drum. So let me attempt to draw one. And think of this drum containing lots of data. So imagine this drum is our database. Now within this drum, we will have a table, and these individual tables, denoted by this box, will contain our data. Now within these tables, these table contains rows and columns. It'll somewhat basically look like this diagram here. So in our first database, we will create a table called title. It will contain a title ID as a column, a unique way of identifying a title, a description, in a description column, salary range column, and the salary range 2 column, which just represents the high point of the person's salary. So let us begin on our journey. Make sure WAMP is up and click on WAMP here. Go to MySQL console. The password by default in WAMP is nothing, so just hit enter. Okay. And one of the commands I want you to memorize is show databases. And there it is right there. Show databases. Okay. Right now, by default, you get information schema, MySQL, performance schema, and test. Let's get rid of consultant. That's actually the one we're going to create today. So I'm going to just drop database here and say consultants, because I want to start from scratch when we do this. So in this example here, I have a script that will actually create the database. So let's first run the first line. And I have also examples here of a comment. So this comment here says, create a database named consultant. This is a comment for one line. So if I highlight this now, go to MySQL console, and let's close that, sorry. And let's paste it and hit enter. Notice it says one row affected. If I type in show databases, you'll see consultants. We just created it. Now notice here there are at least 5 databases here. In order to go to the correct database, I want you to type in use consultant and semicolon. This is the end of the SQL statement. This is needed. I will repeat, please have the semicolon at the end or it will frustrate you. Database changed. Next step here, let's create a table. So if you remember from the picture before, the table exists within a database. So next step here, let's create the table. Notice if I copy the comment also, this will not affect the script. It will be completely ignored. Okay, this is a good sign. Everything's okay. The next step is let's insert multiple rows. Highlight from here to here. And again, I have an example of a comment, but this comment can span multiple lines as long as it ends in asterisk and the slash here. Let's paste it, hit enter. Let's type in show tables, and that shows you the name of the table. If you want to see a description of the table, you can type in DSC and title, and that's a description of the table. Notice it says here it says title ID is an integer, primary key, meaning that we cannot have duplicates in here, and it cannot be null. Description. It's a character or it's a string and it's 100 bytes. And salary ranges are decimals. They can actually hold numbers, which will they'll hold the person's salary. Now, in order to display this data, we must use SQL to actually display this data. So the simplest command here that we'll use is select asterisk from title. And there goes an example. So the reason that we need to know this is eventually within our PHP code or any type of code, C#, Java, you'll have to be able to select data and display it to the user. So you might hear the term of projection and selection. So in this case, we are projecting the following columns: title ID, description, salary range 1, and salary range 2. Now, there's a couple of things you can do with this. Suppose you wanted to sort this by description. What you can do here is say, I'll type it here. Let me just copy this line here. Select from title, order by description. By default, this will order in ascending order. Paste it here, hit enter, and notice here, now this is in alphabetical order. Let's say we wanted to do it by the salary range 2. Instead of description, let's do salary range 2. Now it's sorted by salary. Now let's say you wanted to sort it again by salary range 2, but you wanted the highest salary to come first. So you want to use this DESC for descending order. Control C. Let's paste it there. And now it's in descending order. The CEO is first, 150,000, 130, 50, 70, and so on and so on. Now, this works fine, but you want to be careful when you're typing this into actual code when we eventually get to that point. I always avoid using the asterisk. And the reason you want to avoid using the asterisk here in this case is this will display every single column on the table. And if this column for some reason contained 20 columns, and then you projected it, but you only needed 1 or 2 columns, you're actually eating up resources. So you're going to be careful when you are writing this SQL statement within code. So for example, let us change this slightly. So let's say, for example, we just want to see the title ID. No, in fact, we just want to see description and the salary range. So let's do this. Select description, and let's say here salary range 2. From title, and let's do an order by description and semicolon. Remember, it's important to do it in semicolon. So notice here I have this on multiple lines. So here, remember we talked about projection. Within the select statement, you are projecting the following 2 columns: description and salary range. The source is the name of this table. In this case, the table is title. I am sorting by description. Let's highlight the whole thing. Make sure again you have the semicolon. Copy. Right click here, paste, hit enter. So notice here I am projecting 2 columns here: description and salary range here. So I have a lot of flexibility and power with SQL. You're not going to learn everything from the SQL that we do within a particular exercise, but this is just the basics that you need to get into. SQL itself, it's a huge topic. I recommend that you take a SQL course to strengthen strengthen your chances of doing well within this field. Thank you very much. This is our first lesson in SQL. There'll be more to come in the future.